Now that you've answered questions 1 through 4, you get a little bit of information about what the purpose of input boxes and variables are. Input boxes are pretty similar to things we've seen so far. Right, they've got a tag, they've got an attribute, and this attribute gives a question in the box. But this line of code looks a little bit different. There's a couple different components of it that I really want to spend some time. Remember, we said a variable is a placeholder in code where something is named. Whenever we want to save something, there's a few different components we need. First things first, put the word var, which tells us let's make we want to save some sort of value here. Let's make it. Next, we have to give that variable a name. In this case, answer is the name of our variable. It basically says, hey, I'm going to save something into the word answer. And wherever the word answer is used from here on out, saved message shows up. Great. I've saved some sort of message into the word answer. And down below, you'll see I use the variable answer. By putting answer plus, which is the name of my variable, without quotation marks, because it's a variable and not a direct message itself, it's saved some sort of text into it, I can insert the message of whatever was saved. So since the function show answer hooked up to this button, whenever I type Steve in here, I hit click here, the word Steve is saved into the variable named answer. And now whenever I put answer, it's going to print and show whatever was saved in that word. In this case, Steve. Who's the greatest basketball player? Now, variables can be named everything. I can name it chicken. I can name it Jordan. I can name it C3PO, as long as there's no spaces inside of there. Real quick, I'm going to change this name to message. It's called a message since it is a message. I've saved this message into the word message. And now when I type, click here, it's not working anymore. In fact, I get this little exclamation point over here that tells me it really doesn't like it. Take 5 seconds, see if you can figure out why. Think you got it? You'll notice that I still have the word answer here, which is a variable that doesn't exist anymore because I changed the message. If I make them the same, if I make the placeholders the same, it's going to light up blue. And it's going to lag once again. Just like in math class, if you say x equals 5, what's 5x? It'll tell you 25 because you know that x is equal to 5. You saved it as 5 at the beginning. Okay? When I have answer equals Steve, I'm going to change these both back to answer now so they can be named whatever. When I put answer plus is the greatest, it'll transform the greatest. And one thing I'll ask you to do on your homework for tonight is change some variable names in all the proper and right. Now, there's two really important parts of this last line of code that look a little bit familiar, but are a little bit different than what we've seen before. You know document.getElementById, and this thing's reading the ID name. If we go back over to HTML, we'll notice it's not H1, and it's not the button that has the ID name goat. It's the input box. That's where we get our information from. That's where we're saving this message from. When I put Bill Russell in here, this JavaScript goes to the input box. It checks what's written inside of that box. Then it's going to save its value into answer. And in fact, that's why it ends with the word value rather than inner HTML. Inner HTML is changing what's between the two tags. While value is going to read from inside of the input box. Rather than when you're changing words on the page itself, when you're changing an H1 tag or something, you always use inner HTML. You amend the end of this thing to value. That means it's going to read from inside of it instead. Bar says let's make a variable. Answer says, hey, I want it to be named answer. Use that word to save whatever's in there. Document that get element by ID goat says, hey, I want to talk to the ID equals goat. I want to talk to the input box. And value is going to say, hey, save whatever's inside that. That we can put answer plus. We can go back and use it later. I know this is a little bit tricky. If it's helpful at all, on the note sheet that's attached to Haiku, I have a breakdown of all the components of the code and what they mean. And if it's helpful, I'll put this little table up on the screen, which is similar, but in a little bit different format to what I just showed you. And if it's helpful to pause here, either now or as you're doing your homework, you're welcome to come back and take a look. Last but not least, we got a few questions to answer on our Google form. We've got questions number 5 through 9 to answer. We'll answer questions number 5 once you're done watching, through 9 once you're done watching this video. If you didn't complete Wednesday or Thursday assignment, now is a good time to do it. And in fact, I actually want everyone to check Google Classroom. So real quick before I flash back to that screen. Answer questions number 5 through 9. Question 5 is here. Question 6 through 8 asks you about the code that's on this page. If you can't read it well, click on the link and it'll open up Code 10 assignment. That has a couple different input boxes, a couple different buttons. JavaScript code on the right over here. We'll change something on the page. Question number 9, once you finish looking at that example, asks you to review the feedback that you received on the JavaScript intro wrap-up assignment and write one key takeaway from the feedback in that space. If you remember from last class, this is when you made the virtual assignment that was the beginnings of virtual telehealth work for IIU Health System. I thought this was a little bit tricky. We were putting together a lot of the things that we'd learned so far in JavaScript, and I gave you guys a lot of feedback. I went through and I commented on everybody's assignments. So please look at Google Classroom, look at what your feedback is, write one key takeaway, or maybe one question that you have if you're still unsure. Go ahead and put it in this box before you hit submit. I think today's assignment is a little bit shorter, so it can be a great time to make up any makeup work you're missing. I hope everybody has a fantastic day. Thanks so much for joining today. If you would like to come and say hi at office hours, we'd all love to see you. I usually have a group of students that comes in and talks about the meaning of life or plays music, or if you want to tell me who the GOAT is in basketball, that is not actually me. I'll be a little disappointed, but would still love to hear from you anyway. And have a great day. Hoping to connect with you guys all soon.